Bethel Online Library and Learning Services presents Formatting Your APA Paper, Guidelines for Formatting Your Academic Paper for APA 7th Edition. Your paper structure. Let's review the structure of your paper. We'll be using Microsoft Word for this tutorial. If you use Google Docs or some other writing software, instructions will be similar but a little bit different. Finally, keep in mind that not all parts of a paper will be necessary depending on the guidelines of your instructor. Title page. There are 3 parts of a title page. Remember that 1-inch margins and double-spaced lines will be necessary on all pages of your APA paper. Page number is placed in the upper right-hand corner in the header section of your page. Title. The title of your paper is placed 3 lines down from the top margin of your page. The title is centered and bolded. Remember to capitalize the first words and all major words in the title. That is, words that are more than 4 letters long. Finally, information. About 3 lines down from the title include your name, the name of the university, your course name, the name of your facilitator, and the date. This information is centered. Let's take a look at what that'll look like. Alright, you'll see here that I've got a sample paper written up here. We'll start with page number. The page number is already inserted, but I'll show you how to do that. You select the Insert tab up here on the upper left-hand corner, and then scroll across until you reach Header and Footer. Then select the Page Number option. You want to always include your page number at the top of the page, and you want that page number to be fleshed right. So selecting a simple number and then making sure it is flushed to the right will be the best option for you. What this does is it automatically inserts page numbers on all of the pages of your document. So as you continue to write and as your report grows, those page numbers will already be there. Once you've added this one time, you don't need to worry about it again. Once you're satisfied with your page number, go ahead and close the header and footer option. Now, for the title. As you can see, the title is about 3 lines down from the top of the page. We do want to make sure it's centered, so you can do that here by selecting one of these alignment indicators. And we also want to make sure that it is bolded, and you can do that by selecting bold here. Once the title has been formatted, you'll go down about 3 lines and you'll put your name, the name of your university, the name of your course, the name of your facilitator or professor, and finally the date. The date will be structured as the first 3 letters of a month, followed by the days of the month, and then the year. Now let's talk about abstract. The word abstract is centered and bolded at the top. The abstract paragraph is beneath. It is not indented. Remember to include suggested keywords for your abstract beneath the abstract. And finally, remember that not every paper will require an abstract. Check with your instructor if you're unsure. Here is our abstract page. You'll see that the page number is included in the upper right-hand corner. And we need to go ahead and bold that abstract title. You'll note that the abstract paragraph is not indented. An abstract is suggested to be about 150 to 200 words, and it will describe all of the major information and findings in your essay. Finally, you'll include keywords at the end of your abstract. You will do this by indenting, entering keywords, and italicizing it. You can do that the same way you would bold, but you just hit the italic icon up here, a colon, and then you will include whatever keywords you wish to use. Again, remember, this isn't always necessary for every academic paper, so check with your professor to see if this is something you'll need to write. Let's talk about the body of your paper. You'll start with your title, which is centered and bolded. This is the same title that appears on your title page. The first paragraph is indented. Again, your page number is included in the header in the upper right-hand corner. Throughout the paper, you'll use different levels of headers to denote major subsections of your paper. And finally, the body of your paper will include a conclusion at the end of your paper. Let's take a look. All right, you'll see here that we've got our paper going. We have the Title centered, and we need to remember to bold that. We also have our page number appearing in the upper right-hand corner, just like before. The first paragraph is indented. Now, the title and different major sections of your paper are indicative of a level 1 heading. This is used for your abstract, your title, your conclusion. If you have a methods and findings section of your paper, a level 1 heading might be appropriate there. Level 1 headings are considered to be major sections of your paper, and they are always centered and bolded. Level 2 headings are flush to the left, and they are bolded. The paragraph beneath them is indented. They are used to identify subtopics within the major topic of your paper. Typically, in essays that are less than 4 pages, level 2 headings won't be necessary. Next is a level 3 heading. Level 3 headings are flush to the left, bold, and italicized. Remember, you'll be using these font editors up here on your left-hand side of the Home tab. Remember that level 3 headers are rare in papers that are less than 7 pages in length. The number of headings used depends on the length and complexity of your paper. Finally, there are level 4 headings. These are useful for talking about key subtopics present under level 3 headings. These are exceedingly rare in papers that are less than 10 pages long. Oftentimes, something you think that might need to be a level 4 heading is actually a level 2 or 3 heading. Sometimes your paper may include figures or tables, which we'll talk about later. Finally, the body of your paper will always include a conclusion. Your conclusion will be treated as a level 1 heading, so it will be bolded and centered. It will be labeled as conclusion. Every essay should end with this. Now let's talk about special features that you may encounter in your writing. There's specific APA formatting for some of these special features, so let's dive in. Block quotes. What is a block quote? It is a large quote that is typically 40 words or more. The entire quote is indented from the margin. The start of the block quote isn't indented from the rest of the quote, however. Unlike normal quotations, a block quote does not require quotation marks. Finally, just like normal quotations, you will cite your block quote. However, your citation lays outside the last sentence's punctuation. Let's go ahead and take a look and see how that would be formatted. You'll notice here that I actually have a very large quote that I left unformatted. Let's go ahead and start by indenting the whole thing. You'll do that by highlighting the entire paragraph. Once you've highlighted the entire block quote, you will then go up to the Home tab of Microsoft Word, and you'll look for the paragraph section. In the paragraph section, you'll then look for this little icon here. It looks like a tiny arrow pointing towards the right, and text is bolded and pushed towards the right. We'll go ahead and select that. And you'll notice how it indented the entire paragraph. By indenting the entire quote, your readers will know that this is not your original content. Again, we don't have any quotation marks for the block quote, and the start of the block quote paragraph is not indented from the rest of the quote. Finally, we do have our in-text citation here at the end of the quote. You'll notice that it is outside the final punctuation of the last sentence of the quote. You'll notice that it still follows all the same formatting features that a 7th edition APA in-text citation will follow. Now let's talk about figures and tables. Figures can be used to include visualizations of data, and tables can be used to include that data itself. Both of these will be labeled as figure 1, 2, or 3, or table 1, 2, or 3. They will be bolded and flushed to the margin on the left-hand side. A brief description of your table or figure will follow underneath that heading, and it will be flush to the side and italicized. Finally, you'll want to include a citation if the figure or table is from another source. Let's take a look. You'll see here that I've got a figure in my paper. The figure is labeled as a level 2 heading. It's bolded and numbered according to the number of figures in my paper, and it is flush to the margin. Underneath that heading is a brief description of the figure. That brief description will be written in italics, again formatted up here. If you do use a figure from another source, this is where you will include your citation for that source. You can insert figures a number of ways. You can insert them by saving a graphic and dropping it into the paper, or you can insert the figure based on your own information. Since this can be a fairly complex process, we won't cover how to insert a table today. You can look up instructions on Google or reach out to Learning Services if you need help. Tables are very similar. Again, you'll be using a level 2 type heading that's bolded, flush to the left. Short description underneath the table will be included in italics, and it is also flush to the left. Since it isn't likely that you'll be using any research data sets in most papers, I won't show you how to insert a table today. But if you need to know how, feel free to look it up on Google or reach out to us here at the library. We'll be happy to walk you through. The final part of your paper is the reference section. The title is References, and like a level 1 heading, is centered and bolded at the top of the page. Your references are arranged alphabetically by author. The first line of a reference is flush to the margin. Preceding lines of a reference are indented. Let's take a look. Here we have our reference page. Again, we've got that handy page number just as we've had throughout the entirety of this paper. The title References is bolded and centered. One important thing to remember about references is that it also should be a separate page from the body of your paper. We have our various sources here, and they are arranged in alphabetical order. You'll see that the first line of our reference is flush to the margin, and that preceding lines are indented. I know that oftentimes when you copy-paste the reference from a database into your paper, it will look like this. The entire thing won't be indented, and you have to spend some time formatting it. So let's see how you do that. I find that the easiest way to do this is to start by going to the second line of your citation and hitting backspace. This will cause the first line and the second line to run into each other. What I then do is, rather than hitting the space bar to create a space, I hit enter. Now, this makes it look exactly the same as it did before. However, Microsoft Word now thinks that we've created a separate line, and I'm now able to hit the Tab key and indent the second line. I'll repeat the same process for any preceding lines. I'll start by hitting backspace to create a run-on, then I'll hit enter to create my third line, and you'll notice how it automatically indented itself to follow the second line. You'll repeat this process for all of your references that are more than one line in length. Finally, let's talk about 4 big changes. If you've been writing with APA 6th edition or even older editions, you'll notice that some things have changed in how you format a paper. There is now no longer a running header. Your title does not need to be present at the top of every page for a student paper. Just the page number. You will now bold the title and reference sections of your paper. In previous editions, we did not bold these sections. You will now need to bold them as you would a level 1 heading. The title page has also changed. The information you need to include in your title page follows in this order: your name, the name of your university, the course name for the paper you've written, your instructor's name, and the date. Always include that information after the title on your title page. Finally, APA 7th edition has now expanded the range of acceptable fonts. Besides 12-point Times New Roman, APA now allows 11-point Calibri, 11-point Arial, and 10-point Lucinda Sans Unicode. Or if you'd like to use a serif font, you can use 11-point Georgia or 10-point Computer Modern. Do you have any questions? Let's talk. If you have any questions about APA 7th edition or formatting your paper for APA 7th edition, don't hesitate to ask. You can chat with us online 7 days a week. You can give us a call at 615-277-8980, text us at 615-908-2275, or email us at librarian@bethelu.edu. Thanks for listening.